Hi friends, it's me, Floss, with another episode of Where Are They Buried and How Did They Die? Where are they buried? How did they die? Yeah, I ain't fibbing you. That's what I meant to say. That's what I said, and that's what I meant to say. Okay, before we get started, I think we're on personality 3. Before we get started, let me just say, if you have subscribed to my channel, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And if you have not, please consider doing so, as it helps me to bring you more and more and more and more and more of the books. All right, this book is written by Todd Benyo. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I am. But anyways, blah, 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 blah. We did Lou Albano, we did Muhammad Ali, and we did Andre the Giant. Now we are going to do Arthur Ashe, which I am going to learn about with many of you because I am not familiar as to who he is. So let's learn a little thing about Arthur, shall we? Okay, July 10th, 1943 to February 6th, 1993. Arthur Ashe was the first African-American man to win tennis's most prestigious tournaments, the U.S. Open and Wimbledon. He first learned to play tennis on a segregated playground, then parlayed that into a 12-year career that included 33 singles and 18 double titles. He later became president of the Association of Tennis Professionals and captain of the Davis Cup team, which won 2 championships under his direction. Though the titles and ensuing endorsement contracts made Arthur a millionaire, wealth didn't distract him from the social issues of the day. He became a civil rights activist, fighting for all minorities that were victims of exclusionary practices. He also served as the national campaign chairman for the American Heart Association, edited several books, and contributed generously to African American programs everywhere. After Arthur disclosed that he had AIDS in 1992, he devoted himself to becoming a role model in the fight against the disease and began a $5 million fundraising effort on behalf of his namesake foundation. At 49, Ashe died of pneumonia, a complication brought on by AIDS, and was buried at Woodland Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia. Grave directions: enter the cemetery at 2300 Magnolia Road. Turn at the first left and proceed for 100 yards. Arthur's grave is on the left. Fans of Arthur's will also want to view the statue crafted in his honor on Monument Avenue. As a child, Arthur had not been allowed to play on Richmond's segregated tennis courts, but today his memorial stands tall in the heart of the Confederacy's capital city. Okay, they go pretty quick, so I'm going to probably do 2 each episode, if you don't mind. It takes no time at all, really. Okay, the second one we are going to learn about, again, I don't know anything about this gentleman, Red Auerbach, September 20th, 1917, October 28th, 2006. After leaving the Navy in 1946, where he directed the sports program at Norfolk Naval Base, basketball legend Red Auerbach signed on as coach for the Washington Capitals during the Basketball Association of America's first season. 4 years later, Red moved over to the fledgling Boston Celtics franchise, even though the future of the team and the entire NBA was hardly secure. By 1955, 7 of the league's franchises had gone belly up, and more than once, Red paid the Celtics travel costs out of his own pocket. But 6 winning seasons drove Celtics tickets sales up, and in 1956, through shrewd maneuverings, Red secured the services of gifted defensive center Bill Russell and the acquisition began the greatest basketball dynasty the country has ever seen. By the end of Red's 39-year coaching and general manager career, a 10-year mark by him, berating referees and pacing the sidelines with a rolled-up program in his clenched fist. The stocky and cantankerous Red had led the Celtics to 16 championships, including a sure-to-be unequaled 8 straight from 1959 through 1966. Defining his secret to coaching in his 2004 biography, let me tell you a story. Red said, "I teach my players not to accept the philosophy that being a sore loser is a bad thing. Only losers accept losing." A longtime tradition of Red's had been to light and savor a victory cigar. His favorite was the Hoyo de Monterey Excalibur during a game's late moments as it became apparent that victory was at hand. The customary seat he occupied as elder statesman of the game in his later years at the TD Bank North Garden. Low 12, row 7, seat 1 is devoid of any telltale burn marks, but to this day, fans visit it briefly to have their picture snapped in the legend's chair. At 89, Red died of a heart attack. In a casket lined in Celtic green, he was buried at King David Memorial Gardens in Falls Church, Virginia. Grave directions: enter the cemetery at 2725 Hollywood Road, turn right at the first drive, and stop at the top of this loop, immediately after the small grove of trees with a walkway. In the grass on your left, inside the loop, Red's flat bronze marker surrounded in marble is at plot 15-137-3A. And we're going to do one more because it's teeny tiny, although this man is not. Wilt Chamberlain, August 21st, 1936 to October 12th, 1999. The 7'1" Wilt Chamberlain so dominated the game of basketball that, in direct response to his abilities, the NBA changed some of its rules in order to give everyone else a fighting chance. The lane under the basket was widened, the offensive goaltending rule was implemented, and regulations regarding inbounding and free throws were revised. Though the changes served their purpose to some degree, Wilt the Stilt continued to be a heavy presence. By the time of his 1973 retirement, he'd set a number of records, 2 of which will probably never be broken. First, Wilt never once fouled out through 1,205 games. Second, in 1962, he scored an astonishing 100 points in a single game. In 1991, it came out that Wilt also held one other pseudo-record, though it was somewhat nefarious and hard to verify. In his autobiography, A View from Above, the lifelong bachelor devoted an entire chapter to sex and there made the revelation that if he had to count his sexual encounters, he'd be closing in on 20,000 women. Yes, that's correct. 20,000 different ladies, he wrote. Oy vey. At my age, that equals out to having sex with 1.2 women a day, every day since I was 15 years old. Some fans recoiled at Wilt's macho accounting and roundly criticized him, while others contemplated that, even if he was exaggerating by a factor of 10. At 63, Wilt died of congestive heart failure. He was cremated, and his ashes were entrusted to his family. All right, I quit. I'm going to stop there. Tomorrow, or the next episode, we are going to learn about Roberto Clemente, Ty Cobb, and Howard Cosell. Only to be followed by Jay Dizzy Dean, Dale Earnhardt, and Joe Frazier. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. Do you have this book? If you don't, you should get it. It's pretty fun. and interesting. It's the ultimate guide to the permanent address of the famous and infamous. Permanent address, I say. Ultimate guide to the permanent address of famous and infamous people. All right, so we're on sports right now, but there's a ton of people in here, so this is a pretty fun book. So we're going to probably work on this book all of October, the rest of September and all of October, so be sure to check it out. Until my next video, friends, know that I love you. Be well, be good, and be reading.